The number one barrier to major gift success is not MGO turnover, lack of a culture of philanthropy, or even unengaged donors. It's poor leadership. In fact, this is why we wrote our new book. It's not just about the donor. There are too many leaders who just don't understand how major gifts works. In today's podcast, we discuss this problem in our sector and outline all the qualities that good leaders actually possess to lead and create successful major gift programs.
Welcome to the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritas Group, featuring Richard Perry and Jeff Schreifels. Twice a month, we bring you the latest and best thinking about major gift fundraising, so you can develop authentic relationships with your major donors. Here are your hosts, Richard and Jeff.
Welcome to the podcast today. I'm Jeff Schreifels, and I have Richard Perry with me. And today, in our continuing series about our new book, It's Not Just About the Donor, the Ultimate Management Guide to Major Gift Success, we are going to discuss one of the repeated problems we see in major gifts. And actually, it's the reason we wrote the book in the first place.
I know, Jeff. I mean, you know, we've been doing this work for a long time.
Yeah.
And we've seen just about everything. But in chapter 3 of the new book, we really highlight, these 4 areas that we've observed over the years.
Yeah.
But, there are repeated problems. But today we're just going to discuss the first big one. And that's, all about leadership. Leadership relates major gifts.
Absolutely. Okay, good. So let's just get into this. So, that one that we've observed over and over is that leadership is not supportive of major gifts. And Richard, why don't you explain this?
Well, there's two big things. I think the first thing is so many leaders just do not understand how major gifts works.
Yeah.
It's seen as, well, you know what? We're going to have this giant source of net revenue, and the ROI is really great. And let's just get it going.
Yeah.
When in fact, it's very labor intensive. It takes a long time to set it up.
Right.
They don't understand the economics of it, like how you start and how you end and all that stuff and how it grows. So that's one big area. And then the other area is oftentimes a leader, him or herself, is uncomfortable talking to donors or building relationships with others. And they think it's somebody else's job. And there's a lot of donors that want to relate to the top person. So
that's right.
Those are some of the big reasons that they don't support well. And then they don't understand how that major gift thing kind of mixes in with the other operational areas of the nonprofit finance program, and operations. Yeah. And so basically major gifts is sort of this orphan child left to survive. And it doesn't do well in that kind of environment.
What's interesting is over the years, we've talked with tons and tons of leaders, and you can, when you talk to them about it, you understand why they don't get it, right? But I think the biggest ahas for us over the years have been all the communication we get from either director of developments or major gift officers who are saying our leader is the biggest barrier to major gift growth.
Yeah.
And so, this over and over again, and it's the whole reason we wrote the book in the first place. We were like, my gosh, this is the biggest barrier. It's not major gift officers. It's not donors. It's the leaders and the managers who don't understand anything about major gifts.
Yeah, it's been really sad for you and me, Jeff, and our team to hear these kind of reports. I mean, some of the things we hear are just tragic, which explains why these major gift officers are not staying in organizations. I mean, they're there for less than 2 years.
Oh, I know.
Nationwide and actually worldwide. I mean, it's a real problem.
Well, just the other day, here's an example. this is just one example of how bad leadership affects major gifts and major gift officers in particular. So we just heard about someone that was able to bring in a 7-figure gift, $1 million gift from a donor.
Yeah, I heard this. Yep.
And you would expect that the leader would congratulate that person and make it a big deal with staff.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing but crickets from that leader. And that major gift officer was, wanted to write us and just say, hey, I followed everything about the Veritas way, and we got this 7-figure gift. I'm feeling great about that, but I also have this hole in my heart because our CEO and the development director really didn't care. It seemed they never even said, "Hey, good job" or anything. I mean, what in the world? I know
that whole story is. We just heard that in the last few days, and it's tragic. And eventually, if they don't watch it, they're going to lose a very, very good major gift officer.
Yeah.
Hey, but you can repeat that story hundreds and thousands of times.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Well, Richard, why don't you give us a list of what a good leader does that supports major gifts?
Well, that'll be fun, and we addressed this in our book. So let's start with the first one. Half of the time, half of a leader's time is devoted to donors. And this is an interesting one because it's like, what do you mean half of my time? I mean, I got to run the place.
Right.
Well, your sole source of revenue is donors, institutional donors and individual donors. And so, spending a good deal of time there, I mean, is a very important thing.
I mean, typically a leader would look at it and go, well, maybe 5 or 10%, but we're saying no. Half of your job is reaching out to donors.
Yeah, some of the biggest misses in major gifts is because of the top person doesn't want to meet with somebody that could easily give $1 million, $2 million, $5 million.
Yeah.
And you and I have seen that, Jeff, where a leader actually embraces this idea of spending time with donors, and it makes such a big difference in terms of the outcome of the fundraiser. So that's the first one.
Yeah.
The second would be, a really good leader brings all these elements of the organization together: finance, program, development, to create offers, inspiring and effective offers.
What do you mean by that? So talk a little
an
more.
Offer is basically sort of like a case for support.
Yeah.
It's what the major gift officer presents to the donor as a rationale for why they should give.
Yeah.
And to construct the really good offers, you absolutely need the involvement and participation of finance and program and development.
Yeah.
And sometimes operations. And so a good leader needs to bring those people together. How many times, Jeff, have we seen where we go in to try to create some offers and, finance won't cooperate? Well, we can't do that. We don't have the time.
Yeah.
Or the fundraiser can't get the information.
Yeah. They don't get it, or they think, well, what's in it for me? Mm-hmm. Program people, why should I spend time with finance and development people? I'm trying to help people here. I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
And a good leader brings them all together and lets them understand why they're all interconnected, and without one another, it's not going to work.
Mm. Yeah. So that's a huge one. I think the third one is a good leader demands that the program develop measurable outcomes.
Yeah.
In other words, are we really doing any good in this program? How many times have we been in a situation where, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars is put into a program, but there's not any way to measure whether there's actually any good being done?
Exactly.
And one of the key things for donors is they want to know that they made a difference. Well, how are you going to tell the donor they made a difference if you can't measure whether you made a difference?
Yeah.
So a good leader demands that.
Yep. Good.
A good leader seeks counsel from donors.
What do you mean? Donor tells you what you should do?
Well, it could be in some situations, but like if there's a program situation or an operation situation and you have a donor that has an expertise in that area, you actually sit and talk to them. I remember one meeting I had with a very, very wealthy individual, and we met at his house in Aspen, Colorado. This was years ago. Mm-hmm. And he says to me, Richard, the thing that's so frustrating to me about the nonprofit that I am on the board with, that you know very well and you're involved with as well, they don't let me sit at the table. Now, he's at the board table, but he's not really operational. I mean, you don't want a board member to run the place, obviously.
Right.
But he was so talented. Fortune 100 company.
Yeah. You'd want input from somebody like that.
I would. I mean, my goodness. But there's some leaders that just don't do that. They keep it all separate. And they keep the expertise out. And I think there's a direct correlation between how that leader feels about him or herself.
Yeah.
And whether they'll seek the involvement. I think the fifth thing is that a good leader creates a culture of philanthropy.
Yes.
We all know this in the commercial world, that those companies that are really customer centered, really, really, really are the ones that are successful. And it's the same in philanthropy. I mean, without a customer, the commercial enterprise doesn't work. Without a donor, the philanthropic enterprise doesn't work.
Yeah.
I don't understand, Jeff, why people don't understand that.
We've looked for so many years, nonprofits just treat their donors as a means to an end. They don't look at them. They look at them as a money machine, an ATM. They're not looking at them as real partners. They don't look at them as part of their mission. They look at them as someone that gives them money to do their mission, not about caring for the donor and understanding the role the donor has in the whole thing. And that is that they want to change the world, and they want to find joy in their life doing it. And nonprofit is part of that. And if they don't understand that, then you're not actually embracing the concept of being donor-centered.
Right. And because of that, donors are attritioning. I mean, the last numbers that we had was almost 55% a year are actually going away.
Yeah.
And then the value attrition, the same donors, what they're giving over time, is the value attrition is 40 to 60%. So 40 to 60% of the value of the same donors is just going away.
Yeah.
This is horrible, horrible performance. Now, why is that? Because we don't value donors. So a good leader creates a culture of philanthropy. A good leader also embraces, return on investment and the need for overhead expenses. And this is a huge one for us. A good leader is measuring, what kind of return are we getting?
Yeah.
How effective and efficient is that? And then also a good leader embraces the fact that overhead is good.
Yeah.
Instead of going around, well, we gotta try to work that number right down to the nub because, I'm kind of embarrassed that overhead's part of actually doing business in a nonprofit. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
and donors understand that.
They do. They do.
But I see a lot of leaders trying to hide that, right? Mm-hmm. We know organizations that have done that. Oh, our overhead is only 7%. It's not.
Which 7%. We know is not true.
No, it's totally false.
Mm-hmm. Here's another one: is a good leader knows how to balance short-term gains with long-term vision. In other words, you might want to invest more in donor acquisition.
Yeah.
Which is going to actually cost you in the short term in terms of your economy.
Yeah.
Because it costs money to acquire donors, but you're going to build for the long term.
That's right.
Or invest in major gifts or invest in planned giving and so on.
I remember a leader, Richard, that we worked with way back in the day that is a household name today, this organization. It is huge. But back when we first started working with them, they were small, relatively speaking. National organization, but they were small. And this leader was willing to risk spending a bunch of money on new donor acquisition at the time because he realized they needed to grow and there was a huge need. And so he said, look, I want to double in 3 years our revenue. Well, to do that, he had to grow and he had to go to the board and ask for $8 million.
I know. I remember that.
To do acquisition.
Yeah.
And he made the case and they did it. And now, I mean, they're a household name, and that was, 20 years ago. But the reason they are where they are today is because that leader at the time took the risk and knew that, look, we're going to be hurting for a while because we're going to have to expend a bunch of money, but it is going to be long-term. We're going to be meeting a need that's going to be there that, we can address, and we have to do this.
And we've seen that over and over again, where leaders make those kinds of long-term vision decisions.
Yeah.
That has short-term pain in order to gain a larger objective.
And the beautiful thing was this leader knew they weren't going to be there when it really came to fruition.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So there wasn't any personal payoff for him, was there?
No,
I know. So that's a good one. Here's another one. A good leader asks for transformational gifts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big one. Is able to get next to a person and basically say, here's why the $2 million you could give would be important at this time in the organization, or 10 million or whatever.
Yeah.
That a good leader is able to do that. And then a good leader, and this is really a big one, gets emotional about the need. I mean, when you think about what nonprofits are, Jeff, basically the reason they're organized and the reason they exist is basically to meet a societal need.
Right.
And by societal need, we mean not only for humankind, but also for the planet. And when you think about that need, it's an emotional thing.
Yeah.
And a good leader is able to get emotional about that need. So that's the list. I mean, that we address in the book as to how a good leader can support 9 ways a good leader can support major gifts.
Well, that is quite a list. Mm-hmm. I'll just quickly go over again. So what makes a great leader? Half of their time devoted to donors. They bring finance and program development together to create inspiring offers. They demand from program measurable outcomes. Mm-hmm. They seek counsel from donors. They help create a culture of philanthropy within the organization. They embrace return on investment and the need for overhead expenses. And they know how to balance that short-term game and long-term vision. And as Richard was just saying, they ask for transformational gifts and they get emotional about that need. Mm-hmm. Because they are conveying that need to the donor. And if they can't get emotional, either will the donor. So that's a great list.
It is.
A really great list. And just think, if a leader actually embraced those actions, how many nonprofits' major gift program would flourish? I mean, it would be completely night and day.
It would. It just changes the landscape of the whole thing. It really does.
Okay, but before we leave today, let me tell you about how you can get a copy of our new book. It's not just about the donor. All you have to do is go to Amazon.com, and in the search bar, write in the title of the book, and it'll come right up. And if you use Kindle, there's a version for that as well.
Nice.
So thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritas Group. Richard and Jeff also write an ongoing blog that you can subscribe to for free at veritasgroup.com. Please join us again next time.